Hi everybody, it's Alyce-Kay Ruckelshaus of Threshold of Hineni, and I just have to say the thing that I talked about yesterday about having to put Eli down and meeting that lady. The lady was such a blessing, but the whole thing with Eli kind of got me more depressed. So far, otherwise, this whole thing has been working to keep me from getting too depressed, and it's been really good. So I think on the whole, it's a good idea. It's just that thing was probably more about a negative thing than about a positive, and so yeah, but God did bring that lady into my life. So anyway, so I have blessings here, and I am drawing them out and talking about how God has blessed me and taken care of me since Bill died, to just kind of reframe my thinking and help me to be more focused on the positive. And I'm just randomly choosing things to talk about each day. Beth. Okay, so Beth was Bill's late wife. She was wonderful, and they had been married for years and years and years, and she died of breast cancer probably 20 years before we met, I think. And so this is all going to sound really weird, you guys, and I don't know, you may think that I'm crazy after you hear all this, but when we first were getting to know each other, before we were even talking on the phone, when we were just like writing to each other, because we met on June 6th, and then the first time that we talked on the phone was June 16th. And so we learned a lot about each other before then. And he told me about Beth, and it was like, as soon as he told me about her, it was like I knew he was an okay guy. I didn't know that he was going to be the guy for me, but I just knew I felt really safe with him, and I felt like he was a good man. And the only way that I can explain it, and I know this is going to sound really, really creepy, but it was like, even though he was 1,300 miles away, I had never seen him, I had never touched him, I'd never been around him. It was like I could sense the residue of Beth on him. And it was like I knew that she had brought us together, whether it was for just a short time or whether it was to be married or not, I didn't know, but it was like I knew that she had something to do with bringing us together, and she was a really good person. And so I felt, you know, I was so careful meeting guys online, and I usually would talk to them for about a month before I would give them any personal information, including what my name was. But with Bill, well, he asked me for my email like almost right away. We talked just a little bit on the chat on the website, and he asked me for my email because he didn't want to lose track of me, and I gave it to him right away. And as soon as I gave it to him, I was like, oh my goodness, what did you just do? You know, because I didn't usually give stuff like that away that quickly. But it was okay. And you know, and then I realized, yeah, you know, I feel really comfortable with him because of Beth. I feel like it's safe. I feel like it's okay for me to give him my email. And Beth, you know, he would often say that Beth had trained him for me. She had trained him to put down the toilet seat, and she had trained him to do various other things that, you know, women often have a hard time getting their husbands to do, and basically turned him into a civilized human being. You know, I don't know. He may have been very civilized before that, but from the way that he talked, he didn't sound like it. And Beth really made him into a civilized person. And so, you know, and the things that they talked about, because they were so close like us, and I just felt like she, and he did too, he said this sometimes too, like she had prepared him for me. Not that she had an intention of leaving or anything, although she knew that she had breast cancer, so maybe she did intentionally, I don't know, but it was just like she and I had a lot in common in like the way that we think and stuff. There were a lot of things that were really different about us too, but there were plenty of things that were in common, and I just felt like I didn't just feel like we would have been good friends, I felt like we were good friends. I kept her ashes on my desk. I talked to her. I know that Bill still talked to her too, but I talked to her even though I had never met her, and it was just very comforting to me. And she really was a part of my life and his life, obviously, and she was a part of our marriage. And she and Bill had such a wonderful marriage that he knew he wanted to be married again. And he said something that, a lot of women are turned off by, that he loved marriage. And I knew by that he didn't just mean, oh, I want to marry anybody, but that he loved marriage so much and he wanted to be married again, because he just loved that. And I understood that because I love marriage too. At that point, I had not been in a good marriage, but I had spent my life wanting to be in a good marriage and believing in marriage. And that was, I think, a big thing for why our marriage was so successful, was because we both believed in marriage and believed in the fact that you have to work hard at it. It's something that you intentionally do. You don't just, there are a few people who just haphazardly have a good marriage, but most people who just leave it up to fate don't. And you do have to work at it. It's something that sometimes is hard, but it's good. And we actually kind of relished in the hard times. I know that sounds really funny, but we actually enjoyed working to make our marriage better and working to understand each other and everything. And a lot of that was maybe from Beth, maybe from their relationship. Different things were actually from her, and other things were because of his relationship with her. And so it just meant a lot. And the business that we had we had several businesses, but one of the businesses was Chester River Knitting Company, and that was something that he and Beth had started. And so she was a big part. There were parts of her in that all the time. And lots of stories about her, and I loved hearing about her. I never felt jealous of her. He loved me very, very much, but in a different way than he loved Beth. And even though he loved us both romantically and sexually and everything else, it was just different. He wasn't trying to replace Beth with me. He wasn't trying to treat me like Beth or anything. I was definitely an individual person to him. But, he loved both of us, and I know that he's really happy in heaven. He would be happy in heaven anyway, obviously, but he's happy in heaven to be back with her. And it's kind of funny because I feel like she trained him for me. I held on to him and took care of him for her. And now she's taking care of him for us, because someday we'll be there and we'll be together. And, you're not married in heaven. That's what Jesus said. You're not married in heaven. So, it's like we'll all love each other. It'll be wonderful. It's not going to be a marriage or anything like that. It's not something weird like threesome or something, but it's just hard to explain. It's just, we're family. And so Beth definitely was a blessing that he brought into my life. Bill brought into my life Beth. She was just super, super special. She is super, super special. I still talk to her. I talk to Bill a lot more, but I still talk to Beth too. She's part of my life. And I would never have had the friendship that I have with her if I hadn't married Bill. Okay, so now that I've totally freaked you guys out and you're all thinking that I'm totally crazy and need to be committed, I'm going to say goodbye. I love you all. I'll talk to you later. Pray for each other, okay? Bye-bye.